Alright, we're on the last video of the basic boiler maintenance video playlist set that we've been working on. Okay, we just did the oil filter, we did the pump screen on this Riello burner, and we did the nozzle. Now we're going to clean this Biasi boiler. Alright, for this job, you need a soft bristle boiler or furnace cleaning brush. Okay, it's imperative that you don't use a wire brush, especially if you have a furnace with a burn chamber that has fire brick. Okay, that stuff can be really brittle, and it's really important that you use caution when cleaning it out. Okay, this is a cast iron boiler, so it's not as critical that I'm cautious like that, but I don't know what you're cleaning. Okay, the other thing I want to say is that the videos in this playlist do not replace having a certified professional coming out to your house, running a thorough diagnostics, and doing a tune-up on your heating system. Okay, these videos are intended to give you a basic understanding and allow you to do basic maintenance of your home heating system so that it can run more efficiently. Alright, let's go ahead and get this one taken care of, and then we'll be ready for a cold one. Alright, let's go. Alright, in the very first video where we replaced the oil filter, I made sure that the Firematic valve was closed before we moved on, and that's because I'm going to disconnect this line right here. And it's obviously before this Firematic valve, so had I not closed the one at the tank, we'd have oil coming out all over the place. Okay, so that's why I left that one closed at the end of that last video. Okay, it's just going to make it easier to swing this door open. We don't have to worry about bending this line. All right. All right. So again, the process may be a little bit different on your boiler, but on this Biasi, we're just going to go ahead and pull this front cover right off. It just snaps into place with some sort of pressure clips on each side. Okay. Okay, so we need to remove this top plate, and then we also need to, and you can't see it right now, it's not in the frame, but let's get this removed first, and then we'll swing this door open down below. Okay. Okay, so we're going to remove these three nuts here on this top plate. These are 1/2 inch. Just using a 1/2 inch socket ratchet. And they shouldn't be on there too awful tight because, well, when you're working with cast iron or really anything, you don't want to over tighten them, but especially with cast iron because you could actually crack it. There we go. And don't drop it, okay? So really that's not too bad. There are washers too, don't lose those. Yeah, one fell off. Here's the other two. Okay, so set this aside, don't drop it. And also be cautious of the gasket around the outside, all right? Okay, so for the burn chamber door, we have 4 bolts right here, right here, right here, and right here. It's not necessary to remove these burner assembly bolts, okay? Those affix the burner to the door, and we don't want to mess with those. Okay, so this door should have a compound hinge on it, so you should be able to pull out and then off to the side. Okay? Okay, so you can see it's really not that bad. What we're going to do is we're going to take our soft bristle brush and we're going to work it in and out from the top to the bottom. That's the way I like to do it, okay? And we're going all the way back to where the chimney is. We'll pull the chimney off as well, at least the back side here. I'm trying to do it one-handed and looking through the lens of the camera. And we're going to loosen up as much of this debris as possible, soot and whatnot. And we're going to try to work it down to where we can get a wet dry vac in so that we can vacuum it out. Okay, and then when I get to that point, I will fire the camera back up so that I can show you sort of how I manage the soot and dust when I do this. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and complete this. I'm also going to take and go around the burn chamber. Same idea. Again, be very cautious. But again, I don't have a lot of buildup in here at all. So let me get this done, and I'll be back. All right, so you probably already know this, but if you don't have a filter in your vacuum that's designed to trap fine particulate matter, a lot of that dust is going to come out of the exhaust from the vacuum, right? It's going to blow right through the filter, especially when the filter gets saturated. So what I've done is I've created sort of an exhaust hose. You can see here, basically I have, I believe that's a pool hose, you know, for pool cleaning. And I've got a coupler, just a PVC coupler, but I've taped it together. And I just blow the exhaust outside, because what happens is you can buy a brand new filter, and when I do the floor or anything else that's a fine dust, it just saturates the filter and starts blowing out all over the place. And the same thing happens when I vacuum out the boiler. So I basically blow it outside, and I've got it running off to the side there, and it goes out, and you know, basically I'm not breathing it in. So that's just a little, that pool hose is fairly inexpensive. You can get them at Walmart, and it just gives you another way to manage the dust that's going to be developed from the vacuum process. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and vacuum out as much as possible, and then we'll put it back together. And you can see there's really not much in there at all. I did unhook the chimney as well, and sometimes what I do is I actually put it on blow, and I blow the chimney out and then vacuum it as well. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. We'll put it back together and see if it fires up. Alright, let's get it back together. Alright, again, this is a compound hinge, so you can swing it sideways and then straight in on those studs. You might have to lift up a little bit. You've got washers and then nuts. And again, you do not want to over tighten. And then I'll go around again. And you may lose a washer putting it back on if you didn't take them off to begin with. That one's still there. This one came off. Put those back on. Tighten that down. So hopefully this video has been helpful along with the others. I know this is one that, you know, heating professionals will probably not like, and oftentimes leave me negative comments, but honestly, it is one of those things that homeowners can do, and this process is actually covered in the manual, you know, for the Biasi boiler, along with other things, you know, like how to set the air intake and so forth. But if you don't have the right tools to test your pump pressure and your, you know, basically your chimney gases, then you can't really do the full service, you know. So while this is good, it's not really a tune-up, right? The nozzle and the filter replacement, those are things that need to be done, but there are other variables that we haven't addressed through this process. So it is important to know that. Okay, just kind of feel it out. Obviously, I'm not cranking it down a lot. I'm just kind of making sure that it's tight and snug, but you do not want to crack anything. Alright. I'm not tightening it down to where the nuts stop by any means. I'm just trying to get a feel for it. Okay, let me hook the chimney back up, and then we'll hook up our oil supply and see if we can get it fired up. Alright, let's get our oil line hooked back up. And again, this is a flared fitting, so it really needs to be kind of squared up to the nipple. Okay. If it's bent off to the side a little bit, they'll leak. I like to hold it up in place and then wind the nut in. Okay. And again, it's not necessary to overdo it. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go turn the oil on at the tank, and then I'll come back and turn this valve open, and we'll bleed it and see if we can get the burner to fire. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to turn this valve on here. The one at the tank has already been opened, and I've also flipped the power on to the boiler. Okay? Now I should state that before I started this process, I actually shut the oil supply off and let the burner kind of go into an error state because it basically didn't have any fuel supply. There was no fire. So what we'll need to do now is I'll crack this bleeder valve open. Okay, and then I'll hit the reset, which on this boiler is right here. Okay, now I may have to do that again. Sometimes you have to do it a couple of times if there's air in the lines. You'll know right off, it'll cut out or sputter. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around and look for leaks. That little drop there was from when I was bleeding it. I don't see anything there, I don't feel anything there as far as leaks go. Let's go take a look over here. I've got no drops there. You can feel around the line just to make sure there's nothing. So, hey, if you found this video or the whole series helpful, give me that thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to let it run for a little bit without the burner cover on. And, you know, just make sure we have no leaks. Make sure it runs good. Leave questions and comments below. And as always, I appreciate people who take the time to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year and have fun.